So in my last recording, I showed how to use AWS console to create a prompt using Bedrock Prompt Management. We created this chain of thought prompt using prompt management. In this recording, we will see how we can programmatically create a prompt using the prompt management service of Bedrock. So we'll write a Python program that will instantiate the Bedrock client, and through that, we'll create a prompt in prompt management. Let me go to the program and let me walk you through how I developed this program. So the documentation on this is still not adequate. So I had to do a lot of trial and error, read the API references mentioned in this link to understand how to create this program, right? So let's walk through it step by step. So first I created the client, the Bedrock agent. The service name is Bedrock agent. I created this. So there's a Bedrock runtime client, Bedrock client, and the Bedrock agent client. So here the service name is Bedrock agent. Then this is my user prompt, right? Where the user will give a context and a question, and the user will expect an answer from this prompt. The system prompt is, you are a helpful chatbot that answers a question based on the provided context, right? So with this, I want to create the prompt template in the prompt management to the prompt management service of Bedrock. Now, the actual API to create the prompt is create prompt. And the variables that it takes is the name of the prompt, the description of the prompt, and the variants. So if you go to AWS Bedrock Prompt Management, you will see you can create multiple variants of the prompt using different combination of the model, inference configuration, even the prompt template, and compare between the variants, right? In this recording, I have created only one variant. In fact, what I saw is if I give multiple variants and use one of the default variant, it was not working through the SDK approach, the Python SDK approach. I'm not sure whether it's a defect. I'm going to actually raise it as a defect, but it may also be the fact that I am yet to discover how to use multiple variants. But I'll show you what I tried and what did not work, right? But let's first see what works, right? So in the variants, as I mentioned, only one variant will create where I have the name of the prompt or the name of the variant, which I said Claude Sonnet is the name of the variant. The name of the prompt template is chatbot, right? The model ID that I'll use is the Claude 3 Sonnet, right? This is the model ID that will be used for this prompt template. Template type chat, right? There are two types of template type. One is text template, one is chat template. There is an example in the AWS documentation how to create a text template type, but there was no example of how to create a chat template. This is what I created after going through the API documentation and all, right? Inference configuration is where I'm giving the temperature. So here again, I saw maybe this is incorrect documentation. And once I faced the error, I found out what the correct variable is. So in the documentation, this variable is mentioned as maximum content length, which actually did not work. I have to give max tokens, right, as the parameter. So let me show you where I found the documentation. So if I go to the agents for Bedrock, right? And if I go to the inference configuration, it says maximum length. Yeah, maximum length, right? But maximum length does not work. I had to use max tokens for this. The rest of them are okay. Temperature, stop sequences, right? Top P worked. Top K, I could not make it work, right? So if I give top K here, it does not take it. Not sure why. I still need to find out if I have to put top K, how do I do it? So top K, it does not accept, right? So it accepted temperature, max tokens, stop sequences, top P, right? These are the inference configuration that I have gave for the prompt template with model ID this, right? Now the actual prompt template, how I created is, right? The template configuration, as I mentioned, the template type is chat, right? If the template type would have text, I would have started with text, and the parameters after that would have been different, right? That example is already there in the documentation. Example with chat is not there, right? So for a template configuration of template type chat, I need to have messages. And again, this is after multiple trial and error, I found out that the messages need to be a list, right? And here I gave the role as the user, and the content also needs to be a list like this. In the content, I gave the text of the content for the user, where I am saying, so this one, okay, so this one, this one is, I'll have to change it to user prompt, right? So this one I will change to user prompt, and the system prompt, I did not change it earlier because they're trying multiple things, right? And here the system prompt will come, right? So the text is user prompt, right? Which the user prompt is actually, this is the user prompt, the context and the question. Let me see one thing. I think the user prompt also needs to be a okay, the user prompt, I can give it, it doesn't require a list user prompt from above, but the system prompt needs to be within. Okay, so this also I can give the system prompt. Okay, let's take a look at it again. So the template configuration, chat, messages, as I mentioned, it needs to be a list of messages, because another I could have used role as an assistant, but for this example, I used only one message, the user message. The content is the user prompt text, right? Which is the user will provide a context and a question, and then we'll get the answer, right? Input variables are my question and context. Let me put that as well. So question and the context, right? Those are the input variables. Input variables, again, needs to follow this template where it's a list of key value pair. The key is the name of the variable, and or the key is the name, and this is the value of the name parameter, right? So question and context, these are the two placeholders for me in the prompt template. So I need to pass them like this as input variable. The system prompt will again be within a list, and the system prompt is, you are a helpful chatbot that answers a question based on the provided context. What I have seen is I cannot provide any placeholder for the system prompt. I did not find a way to provide a placeholder in the system prompt. The placeholder can be provided only in the user prompt. That's That's what I identified. I'm still trying to see if I'm missing something, if there is a way to also give a placeholder in the system prompt, right? So this is the way we can create the program to create a prompt in Bedrock. We'll run it, but before running it, I want to actually also show you how I got all these things figured out, right? So if I go to, again, the API configuration, so the API configuration is here, right? Yeah. So the chat, let me show the chat prompt template configuration, right? So the chat prompt template configuration is here, right? So if you see messages, right? This is messages, input variables, right? It says type array of message. The messages say type array of message objects. So yeah, I found out after that, like I need to, it's actually it's a map, right? It's a list of a key value pair, right? So messages, then messages also has a format. So how the messages needs, that the message needs to be like this, I figured it out from here. Like if you see content role, right? Role content. Let me go back. Input variables. Input variables. How do I figured out that it should be named is where I went to the prompt input variable object and found this, right? Then the system. This is the system prompt. System content block has text, right? And then I have, so there is a tool configuration. I did not use tool configuration, but in my next recording, I'll also have an example of how to use tool configuration. That's how I figured out how this payload should be for the create prompt functionality of prompt management, right? Let me now run it, right? So the other thing I did is after I ran it, right, I am getting back the ID of the prompt, right? So let me run this. It has been created now. If I go back to Bedrock, I should be able to see my new prompt. Yeah, the prompt chatbot has been created, right? So if you see, this was my system instruction. This is my user message, right? Let me actually edit it in prompt builder so that we can see it in better way. So the system instruction, you are a helpful chatbot that answers a question based on the provided context, right? That was my system prompt. This was my user prompt, which went here. The model that we used is Claude 3 Sonnet, temperature 0.8, 0.99, top key I was not able to set, but by default it got set to 250, maximum length 3000, that's what I gave here, right? 3000. Stop sequence, human and end, right? So these are the stop sequence that I had. So let me show the stop sequences. Yeah, these are the stop sequences I used, right? And context and the question are the test variables, right? So let us test it and see if it works. Okay, I need to give some context and question, right? So I'll say Taj Mahal is situated in UP, Agra. It has been built by Shah Jahan, who actually, let me do this. I'll give it some, let's see if it is adhering to a context, right? I'll say Taj Mahal is situated in Agartala, Tripura. And let assume, Let me, it's not correct, but just to see that whether it is grounding to the context, I'll say that it has been built by Akbar. Although it has been built by Shah Jahan, I'm trying to see if I ground it to this context, whether it answers based on the context or it still goes to its parametric knowledge, right? So where is Taj Mahal situated? Right? Run. Yep. So if I provided in the context is incorrect, right? So it actually took the context, but this is not what I was expecting. So here, this is where some more prompt tuning will need to happen so that we ground it to what we want it to answer, right? So here although it took the context, but it is saying the Taj Mahal is not situated in Agartala, Tripura. It is located in Agra, Uttar Pradesh. It was also not built by Akbar. So the correct answer based on factual is still giving me the factual historical information. One way to fix this is you are a helpful chatbot. The answers are based on provided constant. Always answer based on the provided context only. Let's see if I add this, what happens. Still, it did not work. Some more probably prompt tuning will be required. But yeah, but one thing is, yes, it is actually taking the context. Only thing is the answer it is giving was not what I'm expected to. I want it to, although I want it to forget about its parametric knowledge, I want to actually ground it to your context. But that was not what we wanted to do as part of this recording. As part of this recording, we wanted to see how we can programmatically create a prompt in AWS prompt management service, right? Now, in the beginning, I said when I gave multiple variants, it did not work, was this part here, where I created two variants, one with Claude 3 Sonnet, name is Claude Sonnet. The other one is Claude Sonnet V1, and it's Claude V2 is what I used. And I said the default variant is Claude Sonnet V1, right? When I run it, it actually, the variants did not make any difference. Still, I saw that whatever was the first variant, only that got created, right? The other variant did not get created. So this is, this may be a defect, or maybe there is something else that I'm missing. I'll continue to research on it and then find out where things are going wrong when I'm giving multiple variants. But that's all for this recording. Thank you.